Hello everyone, in this video I'm going to be doing a basic tutorial of FL Studio and just show you the basics of how to navigate through it, how to adjust your settings so you can get sound, and just overall how to use it. So the version I'm working with is FL Studio 21 and this is the All Plugins edition. However, you do not need to have this version to go through what I'm going to show you in this video. I'm going to keep it just to the default settings and tools and not go over any of the extra plugins that come with the more expensive versions. Now, if you do not have FL Studio and you would like to get it, I do have an affiliate link in the description. So if you still need to get FL Studio, you can click my link down there and that'll bring you to this page where you can buy FL Studio. Also, if you get value out of this video, please like and subscribe. It really helps out my channel. Thanks. Once you have FL Studio installed, you go through the installer, set it up. It'll open up to a project. If you go to a new project, so File, New from Template, you could do Basic 808 with limiter, or empty. So here we're just starting with an 808 kick, clap, hi-hat, and snare. This is the default when you start a new project. First thing I like to do is go up to Options and Audio Settings. We want to make sure that we have the correct audio device selected. If you're just using your computer and you don't have any external audio devices, you want to leave it at primary sound driver. However, if you have a USB interface, like I do, you would want to use Focusrite USB ISO or a different ISO, or whatever device you're using for audio. That's what you would select here. I have Focusrite, so if I wanted to record into my Focusrite, I would select this. Today I'm just going to keep it on primary sound driver because I'm just working within FL Studio. I'm not recording anything into my Focusrite interface. So I'll leave that there. Now, if you see when I hover over these buttons, in the upper left, you can see it says View Playlist in this box here. And when I hover over it, it says Hint Panel. Anything you hover over, any button, it will tell you what it is in that left hint panel. So here we got Piano Roll, Playlist, Channel Rack, Mixer, Browser, Plugin Picker, Open a project, Plugin Picker again. Same thing here. And then we got tempo tappers. You can tap a tempo and touch controller, or shop. So you can buy FL Studio, upgrade it, get more plugins. And up here we have our undo button. So you can undo things. Open a new audio editor. One-click audio recording. So this will just let you record into FL Studio. This is a help button. Then we have a save as button, or save new version here. Render as an audio file. So if you have a project, you can render it as an audio file. It'll mix it down. And then we have view project info. This will just tell you information about the project that you can fill out. So title, author, comments, genre, and a web link. So that is these buttons here and here. If we go up here, you can see amount of voices being processed and CPU panel. So this will tell you how many voices are being played at once. Right now it's at 0 because we have 0 voices. 351 megabytes, that is the memory usage. So that's how much memory FL Studio is using. So this is just to monitor your CPU. Here we have CPU load. You can see mine is at 1 right now. FL Studio is CPU intensive, so it uses mostly your CPU, not your GPU. All right. Peak meter, this is to show your audio. If it's peaking, you'll see it hitting the red here. So that's a way to monitor your levels there. It's a universal peak meter. It's the master, as you can see. And we have monitor as well. So this is just another way to monitor the audio that's coming through. Here we have song position, so it's at 0. If I move my slider here at this bar, you can see it has all of the measures marked out. And in the upper left, you can see we have the time we're at. So right here would be 11 seconds, 22 seconds. So this is how you adjust that. Okay, and then we have multi-link to controllers. I never really use this at all. I don't really use any controllers, but that's what that's for. Enable note clip groups. I always keep that enabled. Step editing mode. Scrolls to reach time markers. I never use those. I keep those off. Typing keyboard to piano keyboard. So if I press a button on my keyboard, right now I'm pressing the S key, you can see it's playing a kick because that's what we have selected here. 808 kick, highlighted green. If I switch to clap, now we get a clap. And this is the channel rack. So if that is not showing up and it's just blank, hit the channel rack button and it'll show up. Say we want a snare. Let's go to snare. I hit my keyboard. All right. Hi-hat. Kick. Okay. So that is how you switch between the instruments here. You can see we have 4 by default. And if we go up here, loop recording and blend recording, I never use those. Countdown before recording, I usually keep that on. It'll just give you a few seconds when you hit record so you can get prepared and ready to record. Wait for input to start playing. I always leave that off. Metronome could be useful if you're doing a live. If you're recording something live that you're playing yourself, metronome can be good. Here we have our tempo. So if I click and hold and move my mouse up, you can see it's going up. I can also move my mouse down. And default is at 130. Here's our record button. Stop, play, song and pattern mode. I always leave it in song mode. And then we have our main volume. 100%, I usually always keep that at 100%. Master pitch, I keep at 0 cents. And so that is this top menu here. I believe I went over all the buttons there. So a lot of these I keep by default. This is just to navigate around. And then you have some other like tools up here, which I rarely use, but they're there if you want to use them. Okay, so now if we let's start with the channel rack next. Here we have the channel rack, and what this is how you add different instruments and plugins to your project. So you can see we have 4 by default, and if I click on one, let's try the kick. Okay, so you can see the waveform here. If I click and hold on that, you can see I can go and place it. And just a fun trick you can do, if you hold Control and scroll up, it will zoom in. If you hold Control and scroll down, it will zoom out. And you can also make the height taller or shorter. By going over to this right corner, you can see a little rectangle will pop up. Click and hold, and you can stretch it out or shrink it. Okay, so we have our basic 808 kick. Let's go back to the channel rack. And you can see now we have this audio filter on, so we're only seeing our audio files that are in here. If I want to switch back to all, I can switch back to all. And now we have the 4 instruments and the kick that I just put in the playlist. If I want to do the same thing with the snare, I can do that. I can place it wherever I'd like. Maybe have it on track 2 and see play. Okay, so that's how that works. Another way to use the channel rack, if we get rid of those, let's go back to all. You can also use the channel rack as for creating patterns. So if we want that same pattern, okay, we have a kick and a clap. We can put one note on beat 1. We'll put our clap on beat 3. So one there, they're both highlighted. Now, this is called a pattern. You can see up here we have pattern 1. So that is what's selected right now. If we click on it, you can see pattern 1 shows up here in the left corner. And the way we get this pattern into our playlist now is we can use this paintbrush tool that is selected right now, or this pencil. You can see draw and paint. So pencil, we can just pencil it in. There's our kick, there's our clap. Okay, and that is in a pattern form instead of using the actual audiophile waveforms. Personally, I go back and forth between both methods. You can even use them in the same project. So if we go to our hi-hat, let's say we want a hi-hat here, we can just add the hi-hat in. So you can combine these two methods of using the patterns and the audio files themselves. Let's go back to all. Some other options we have here in the channel rack. We can adjust the volume. So let's say we want the kick to be louder, we can turn that up, and quieter, we can turn it down. What I'm doing is I'm just holding the left click and moving my mouse up or down. That's how I'm rotating this knob. All right, we'll put that back at default. And we have panning. Right now, this is centered. So we have the center. If we want it to be left, same thing as volume. Let's click and hold and drag down to go to left. Bring it up, and that puts it on the right. If we want to disable a channel, we could just hit that green button right there. So now our kick will be disabled. If we play this, you can hear there's no kick coming through at all. So that disables it. All right. So that's pretty much the channel rack. If you need to add a plugin, you would hit this plus button down here and go through your list of plugins. You can hit more plugins and it'll show all of them here. So this will look different depending on the version of FL Studio you have and depending on which plugins you have installed. If you have any third-party plugins like I have here, I have quite a few of them. Those are all going to show up. Otherwise, you might just have normal FL Studio ones like FL Keys. If I double-click that, it opens FL Keys. And now we have that as another instrument to use in our channel rack. And we can do the same thing with adding these in here, so you can see it gets added to pattern 1. But let's say I want FL Keys to be on a different pattern than the kick and the clap. Then we would go over here and hit this plus sign to create a new pattern. You can name it anything you want or just keep it the default pattern too. If you click this is a color selector. Let's make it this brown, reddish brown, and hit accept. And I'll just leave it as pattern 2 for the name. You can see pattern 2 showed up there and it is in red. Helps differentiate a little bit. And let's say we just want a piano note on every beat. And let's take our pencil tool and click that. So now you can see we have two different patterns. One is the kick and clap, and one is our piano. Now, you may be wondering, okay, I have 4 notes selected here, but which notes are they? That is where you need to go to piano roll, which is this button here. And you can see piano roll FL Keys. You want to make sure your pattern is selected, the one you want to edit. So pattern 2 is our piano. That shows up right here. If we go to pattern 1, it's not going to show up. You can see that our kick and our clap are grayed out. That's because FL Keys is selected right now. We want the kick. And you can see that turn green once I selected kick, clap. There's our clap. We can now edit the clap. So let's go back to FL Keys and go back to pattern 2. You can, to switch patterns, you just click and hold, move your mouse up or down to switch between patterns. And C5 looks like the default for just using the channel rack. If we want to edit these, I can zoom in a little bit. Let's make this full screen. And you can see if I go on the right side of the note, a little arrow shows up. I can click and hold and then drag the note to make it have a longer sustain on it. Now if I bring our play marker back here, all right. And then we can adjust the notes. So let's say we want C5, C6, do E5 and A4. Let's say we want that. It's just random notes. All right, so that is how you go through the piano roll. Some other tools we have here, you can see we have delete. So if I hit that and then I click on the note, that'll delete it. So we can delete those notes. Mute. So I can mute it. It'll gray it out. Click it again to unmute. Slice. So let's say we have a note like this. If I click and hold and drag down, it'll cut it right down the middle. Okay, select. So if I hit select and then click and hold, I can select multiple notes and then go back to my pencil and move them around like this. Zoom and playback I never use, so I'm not even going to go over those. We also have snap to grid, so you can tell when I'm moving these around, see how they're snapping to each little square that we have. If you don't want that, if you want to be able to move them around, you would go, without being locked in, you would go to none here. Go to the magnet, hit none. Now it can go anywhere you want. So if you need really fine tuning on the timing of some MIDI notes, you would want to do that. You would want to change it from snap to grid cell. So it was on cell. That makes it snap to all these little cells. You can hit none, or you can do a 1/16 of a step. So now you can see all of these cells got much, much smaller because we're setting our grid to be equal to a 1/16 step. And then quarter step, third, half, full. You get the point there. So depending on what kind of music you're doing, you'll want to adjust that based on what makes the most sense for you. So that's the piano roll. Let's move on now to the mixer. So the mixer is how we get all of our effects and monitoring and everything and volume adjustment. The mixer is the best way to do all that. So let's go to our channel rack. Let's click and hold on our top instrument and then just keep holding and drag your mouse down until all of these are highlighted green. Once they're all highlighted green, let's go over to the mixer. Here is our mixer now. So all of these inserts you can see are completely empty and we have our master right here. So let's go to insert 1. And how do we get all of our instruments in here? Well, let's right click on instrument 1 and we need to route to the channels. So go to channel routing. And if we do route selected channels to this track, it will put all our instruments into one mixer. So we don't want to do that. We want to route selected channels starting from this track so that each one has their own insert. So now you can see we have all of our instruments and they each have their own volume fader. They each have their own slots for effects to add. So let's say if we want to add some reverb on FL keys, for example, we can go select FL keys, go over to slot 1, go over to more plugins. And let's see, Reverb 2. Let's say Fruity Reverb 2. Let's double click on that and boom, now we have reverb on our FL keys. If we go back to our playlist, let's see what that sounds like. Okay, so it has a little bit of reverb on it now. So that's how you add effects to any of your instruments, and that's how you route your instruments to the mixer. So you can do that. If I want let's say I want the keys to be a little quieter, we can just take this fader and move it down a little bit. Let's hit play on that. So that's how you adjust the volume there. And then we have panning again, so centered. So you can see the volume and panning, you can do that on the channel rack. I just think it's more organized to do it this way. And then you also have the slots to add your effects, which is nice. So using the mixer is really good. I use it with every project I do. I highly recommend it. It's pretty awesome. Okay, so we went over the playlist. We went over how to use these tools here. I'll just show you the paintbrush really quick. So let's say I want pattern 2 to just continue. And let's shorten this a little bit so we can take the end of it, shorten it up. Since we only have 3 notes, we don't need all that empty space. So I'll click on pattern 2 so it's selected. Now I'll take my paintbrush, click and hold. You can see as I'm holding and then I go to a new cell that's empty, it will automatically fill it in for us. So you can make this really long if you want, like this, and just fill in as much as you can. So it'll just repeat pattern 2 over and over and over again. So paintbrush is nice for that. And we went over the channel rack and how to add the actual file in there. There are some other settings in here you can mess with, like you can normalize it. So there you can see the audio is normalized. You can reverse it like that. You can swap stereo. You can fade stereo, so you can see it's fading there. Reverse the polarity. Here we have time stretch, so you can change the pitch, you can change the time stretch here. That can be pretty fun if you want a different sound. Volume, panning again in the channel rack. And then if we go over to this next section, we have the envelope. So we can hit use envelope and that lets us adjust this now. If that is not selected, it won't change anything. As soon as you start moving it though, you can see it's making it's enabling it. So release, you can do it either way. Either click on the actual bullet point and move it around or just use these knobs. So we got delay, attack, hold time, decay time, sustain level, and release time. And all these are, again, when I hover over it, it shows what it is in the top left hint panel. Okay, and then we have our filter frequency. So you can modulate that. If we go over to this screen, again, we have panning, volume, mod X, mod Y, and a bunch of different basic effects and changes that we can make to the sound that way. All right. So we go back to our sampler again. If you want to put the audio file into the playlist, just click and drag. There it is. And we went over piano roll, channel rack, mixer. I believe that should be everything for this video. I just wanted to keep it to the absolute basics for now. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel. If you feel like I missed anything or you have any questions, please leave a comment and we'll see you in the next one.